we go. We're live. What's up, guys?
Yo, what's
We
Hey,
up?
are
what's going
live.
on,
There we
everybody?
go. Everything should be working. Everything should be good. Here we are at the Barons Chat podcast, boys. A little awkward, a little nervous, but we're gonna get this started
Numero
here.
uno.
Yeah,
A
I'll
little
be okay.
nervous. No, we're gonna be fine. We're gonna be fine. So what should we do? Should we do introductions first? I
Yeah.
Sure,
guess.
you want to start?
Okay. Let's switch it up. Lavos, you go first.
Okay. Well, my name is Lavos, or Lavos10. So basically, I've been playing private servers for a long ass time. Played some Scriptcraft, but mostly kind of went really hard on like Emerald Dream, which is the old Phoenix servers, which were dog shit. But looking back, those are good times. And then played Nestarius, Elysium, all that fun stuff until now. In terms of like the reason why I play private servers and why I'm excited for vanilla, it's because back in the day I was a drooling 12-year-old kid that only got up to Broodlord, and we don't mean like up to Broodlord in Blackwing Lair on Blackwing Lair patch. We mean like it was almost Nax patch, and my guild was doing Molten Core and 2 bosses of Blackwing Lair. So basically, like a lot of unfinished business I have to take care of on classic servers or private servers, but hopefully classic servers. And yeah, same story for BC. Didn't do everything, but bit tier 4, bit tier 5. And the after TBC, the rest is irrelevant. Really, don't really care too much for Wrath, Mop, Kata, Wad, and then so on, so on. So yeah, that's who I am. Oh yeah, and I love RuneScape. I think WoW is 1A, RuneScape's 1B. I can't decide between the two, but
When did you start with RuneScape?
I started RuneScape after RuneScape Classic became RuneScape 2. I remember in middle school, I kid you not, there was like 12 or 13 boys, like 11-year-old boys around the lunch table, and all we talked about is like crafting bronze longswords and
Yeah.
like cooking salmon and trout.
I remember fishing
That's all we
lobbies
talked
at
about.
at Karamja and just fishing
Yeah.
lobbies at the dock, and that's how I'd pay for my gear. Pretty
Dude,
bad.
back then, man, you'd like fish lobster. You have to run like 10 minutes back to the next nearest bank in Africa. It took so long to bank, but
Yeah.
that's my story. How about you? You can go ahead.
I'll go next. We'll save Mark
All right.
best for last. All right, so I started with Star Wars Galaxies and RuneScape Classic, not RuneScape 2. Like RuneScape Classic was just so like people complain about RuneScape's graphics. RuneScape Classic was even worse. But we started with RuneScape Classic and then moved into WoW, and then started in a vanilla. Had played the game, had level 60 characters. Didn't really raid much though. A lot younger. I raided somewhat, T1, some T2, but never like Nax or AQ. And then BC raided. Got server first, T4, got T5 done, T6, and then some of Sunwell, and then hopefully go back and finish the job there. And then after that, game kind of died. So yeah.
Nice. All right, so
That's
you
your
guys might
mark.
remember me from like a year and a half ago, maybe. Probably was about that long ago now. I made those class guides pre-Elysium launch, so what is now Lightbringer. So it's been a long time. I did stream here and there, sometimes consistently, sometimes pretty inconsistently. But I'm gonna be back streaming actually in a couple weeks, hopefully. But as far as my WoW career goes, I started back in 04, 05. I don't really remember exactly when. It was probably a few months after launch. I played a Warlock back then as well. I played with a guild called Lose Your Life on Gorefiend, US server. Good times. I definitely did lose my life with them, of course, like we all did back then. But we did everything. I cleared MC, Blackwing Lair. We could never kill Twin M's. We did progress into Nextremus a little bit. We went into, I know we killed Resuvius, Mexana, and a couple of the easier bosses. But they're actually still a guild on retail, which is pretty cool. I remember I was talking about this with somebody else maybe a couple of months ago, and I just Googled it, so I could find our old website. And there actually are still a guild on retail. And there's actually a couple people in the guild who I played with back then. Like the old GM is still there and a couple other people. And they actually had old school screenshots in there as well. I got to scroll through and actually saw myself on a couple of the screenshots they had on the website still back from the vanilla days, which is pretty cool, I
Yeah,
thought.
it's crazy, dude. I remember there were some guilds that I remember from back in the day on my servers. They're still fucking there. Like on Anderhall,
Yeah.
there's a guild called
Yeah.
Simple Math. They've
It's
been
still
there
there.
since vanilla. Like, I don't even understand how the hell that happened, but
Yeah, it's wild. They're on a
that's
different server now, I believe, but we were on Gorfine back in the day,
yeah.
and I was pretty casual after that though. So I played pretty hardcore in vanilla, and in BC I really only did T4. I did like Kara, Gruul, Mag. That's about it. I never really did T5 or Plus or anything. Just PvP'd a lot. Same in Wrath, same in Kata, and I just after that same thing as you guys and most people here. I'd assume is we didn't play a whole lot
Yeah.
post then. So.
A lot more BC.
All right, so we
right?
got the friendly introductions out of the way. So let's get on to the good stuff. So our first topic of the first podcast, we're talking about why we quit retail and why we still choose to play private servers or vanilla or TBC servers. Basically, why we choose to play a game that was made 13 years ago over a game that's getting updated currently in 2018 in Legion or potentially BFA. So yeah, like pros and cons of both.
You know what blows my mind about that is like we're still
What does?
playing the game after like playing like all the servers. We're still playing the fucking game. Like that's not a
Yeah.
game that I could
Oh yeah.
I could think of. Maybe
It's
like
not even that we're
Zelda.
just-
Like
Yeah, it's not just playing the game. So we played the game through multiple times on multiple servers now.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
we played through it on Elysium, and I'm sure most of us, a lot of people here, are gonna play Fresh as well. In mid-June. We want Fresh. Everyone wants to go ahead and do it again. That's the crazy part about it. Not just that we're playing, 14, 15-year-old game. Just that you play it multiple times through, all the time investment stuff, and we still enjoy it.
Dude, Fresh is like a bit of a joke, right? But unironically, dude. So I don't like doing Molten Core for half a year on Fresh servers, but going from 1 to 60 with like thousands of people in STV, Plaguelands, like intense world PvP, it's fun. And there's really another feeling like it, man. It just feels good when you like. I love this feeling on PvP servers, especially like in vanilla, where you're in STV and like the Elite Tiger Bangladesh spawns, right? And you have to fight hordes of Alliance or whatever, and you get the tag, right? Like it just feels good when you secure a tag for your 5-man party, and it feels like you worked for your dinner. It feels like you went out hunting, right? You shot a deer, you got some fish, and you brought it home, and you got the XP.
I have by far the worst quest in the game when it comes to server launches, and it's there's probably some competition with it, but Varag the Dervish in Wailing in the Barrens. You have to kill all the mobs, and like the NPC comes out after you kill the mobs, and it takes forever to summon him. And then you have all these people just waiting to steal your tag.
Yeah, it's definitely one to skip. I feel like on most Fresh launches, unless you're way ahead of the pack, that's definitely a good tidbit to skip there for sure.
No, but why
we
left retail? I guess I'll go first. So I quit retail for good. Like I think there's two different like ways you can say this. Like you can say you quit retail for good, as in like not like taking it like really serious, I guess, or you could take it like really good. Like there's some people who haven't played retail since 10 years ago. Like so, I mean I've played a little bit. Each expansion I've played to a degree, but not the entirety of it. Like not taking it serious, not joining a hardcore guild, not like getting like number 1 on the meters or anything. I just don't give a shit, right? And that started for me in like Wrath of the Lich King, like, and mostly Cataclysm, but Wrath too. Like Ulduar was pretty good, but everything else in Wrath was just I didn't think it was that good. That's and the reason for that is just the game just started getting not only like it was kind of dumbing itself down difficulty wise, but everything else in the game that like made it an MMO just wasn't there anymore. Like you pretty much. Like there was a meme in Burning Crusade where like it was raid or die, and you had to pretty much raid or you couldn't do anything else. I mean, and it just over a period of time after vanilla, that just kept increasing over time for me. But that's just
what happened in Legion specifically that made you quit? Like
Legion,
what mechanic or what thing?
When I realized that the entire time playing the game, it was me sitting in my class hall and raid logging once a week.
Yeah,
that's when I realized this game is just not for me.
I got to level like 15 on Legion and quit, I'm pretty sure. So
like, I could go outside of my class hall and go do some PvP, and I could be on like the Illidan server, and it could be some random dude from like Dune Mall or something, and I'm like, dude, what is the point of this? Like, I don't even know who that is. I'll never see him again.
Right.
But if I kill someone like Lavos or you or in the game, I'm like, oh, I know who that is. I can't wait to him to, or if I die or whoever wins, like, can't wait to see the, the memes and the, yelling at
It creates
each other
that
and
rivalry
stuff. Like,
sometimes
rivalry,
too as
yeah,
well
it's just not there
between
anymore.
guilds or individual players. Definitely brings
Yeah.
a lot more, to the game.
No, I agree. Like for me personally, I did play Legion for about a month or two, and I played Mage like every expansion, right? And there's like this legendary in Legion that's completely broken. It's so good for mages. I can never get it to drop. I actually never had legendary drop for me in a month or two. And then they
Unlucky.
nerfed fire, and all my artifact power was in the fire weapon.
Got my
so it's
Polish
like I had to go
welfare.
back and do
So it's time to
months
support my
of
favorite
artifact power
classic
grinding to
content
catch up.
creator that's
Mhm.
got a
That's when I
spineless
realized that
bone.
okay, this is
Keep on the good work.
What's it even on?
kind of shit, right? I just didn't like that mechanic. I didn't like how a random developer could just ruin your class with a random nerf, right?
Yeah.
And then be reliant on RNG legendary drops to do competitive DPS. Because like, dude, legit shitters that would backpedal can out
Mhm.
DPS you without
Just because they had that one specific item, they got that lucky
Yeah.
RNG to get it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So
Well,
that's
people
when I
talk a
realized
lot.
that the game wasn't for me.
Yeah, well, people talk a lot about
one of my
classic.
one of my donations
Yeah.
went out, and I don't know why, but I fixed it. I don't know why.
That's not good.
Yeah, sorry about that.
It's all good. But one other thing about, like people talk about classic and stuff having a big time sink and being, too hardcore for a lot of the current WoW audience, which, I mean, if you think about people who really raid hardcore in retail, it's got to be a larger time sink. It's going to need alts, separate split raids. If you don't get a specific legendary with the proper RNG, the proper one on your main, your DPS is cut by a huge margin just because you didn't get lucky on that specific legendary that dropped. Maybe it never drops. You have to have multiple alts of the same class to get the proper legendary. It's just, I don't know, it just doesn't seem fun to me at all. And it's just a huge time sink as well, just like vanilla is.
I remember when I was in my guild on Legion, one of my friends who was a rogue, he got like 3 of his legendaries within like a month period of time, where most people didn't have a legendary because the RNG was so bad, and that's just demoralizing to every single raider. It's like it's not even there's just no work ethic either. Like you can't say, oh, that guy spent so much time getting that legendary. He didn't. He just played the game and defeated a dungeon boss that anybody could defeat anywhere at any point in time. No reward, no effort. Period, and he just wins the item.
Dude, people are making new characters because they truly believed that when they made the character, there was like a seed, like how you seed a dungeon or raid in Molten Core in vanilla, and like the loot's predetermined. People were so convinced that their legendary was the RNG was shit. They would make new characters and hit 110 in hopes of like a legendary seed for their new character. Like,
It's wild.
Yeah, it's completely wild how RNG can determine that. But one thing I've heard a lot is. Retail is for casuals, right? And I want to hear your guys' opinion on this, and I'll give mine as well later on. But I can argue that like vanilla is also it can be a casual game too. Like there's hordes of people. We ask them like they play during vanilla, right? And they're like, yeah, all I did was fish, hit 60, and do like Ubers and maybe ZG, and like they had fun, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whereas the same could be in Legion as well. But would you guys argue that? Legion or like current retail or classic would be more casual friendly?
It depends on what you're doing. Like if you're raiding AQ and Nax, hell no way. Because like the amount of like consumables that we've like if chat doesn't know, we're all in preparing for Nax Rammus on private servers.
Yep.
We're expected to farm thousands of gold. I'm personally trying to farm at least 2,000. I'm sure there's people trying to farm more than that. We need 200 frost resist. We need so many fucking consumables. So much time spent in the game for Nax. And that's just one clear, And I don't...
one prediction week.
Everything else before that, maybe besides like the honor system, I think is... it's pretty casual. Well... Molten Core can be pugged. I mean, Molten Core, and I've even seen Blackwing Lair pugs before. Retail, Mythic. I don't know. I've done some Mythic raiding in WoD, but even then, I don't know. Casual player might be able to play if they're good, if they're like really skilled.
I think the difference between two is on the high end of Legion raiding, it's probably more of a time sink and more difficult than vanilla would be. But on the lower end, on more casual players, it's definitely more casual friendly. It takes much less of a time investment. So I think like if you're a higher end player, more hardcore, something to be harder and more intense. But again, it's more casual friendly in the aspect that you can do LFR, you can level to max level so quickly. Gold is so easy to come by. You don't need to spend a lot of time farming, to clear the raid content. Any casual can see the raid content. Maybe it won't be difficult or challenging, but they'll go in and see the raids, which I guess you only have that pleasure, quote unquote, in vanilla with like AQ40 next with a solid guild, farm your consumes, etc. I think that's the two. That's the main difference between the two as far as casual and hardcore goes. And the high and low end.
The main point I was getting at is that if you really want to play vanilla like 2 hours a day, it would take you a long ass time to hit 60, right? For example. But once you do hit 60, I don't think you can actually get decent gear by doing 5-man's upper black rock spire, which is like a 10-man on our current patch on private servers. I don't know what Jalen Brack thinks about that one. If it's 5 or 10 man, I have to ask him.
Jay Allen wants it to actually be a solo mode. Actually,
Yikes.
Solo mode.
Yeah, but like AQ20, ZG, that can be a bit casual if you don't have that much time, right? But
yeah, well, it's funny. I actually just was mining on one of my characters recently, and I actually kind of stole a node from some guy in Arathi Highlands while I was leveling mining, and he messaged me. He's like, "Hey, does this like actually make any money?" And I was like, "Yeah, I can make money. If you got arcane crystals and such." We kind of just got to like chit chatting back and forth while I ran around mining, and we were just talking, and he was like, I was like, "Oh, Lights Hope Fresh is coming out. He just hit 60," and I was like, just the server might be dying soon. Just because I just want to give him a warning. I just want to be a nice guy, give him a heads up. The server might be dying. That's how it is.
Just so you know.
Yeah, and he's like, "Well, I just hit 60," and I was like, "Yeah, so how long did it take you to hit 60 or whatever?" He's like, "Oh, I've been playing about 8 months," and I was like, "Oh, wow, obviously he's more of a casual player. You said playing a couple hours a day, like Lapos just mentioned. That's why I want to segue into it. Playing 2-3 hours a day would take you a long time to hit max, especially if you're doing professions and dungeons in between. You don't really know what you're doing." So it's just an interesting kind of see like that, take that perspective, and meet someone who was more of a casual player, because we're usually surrounded by more of the hardcore players who, go ham off the start and try to get max level ASAP and all that fun stuff.
Well, that's the cool thing about Vanilla WoW is like you can log in, and even no matter like who you are, you can still like feel immersed and enjoy like the game. At least from what I've seen, like people can log in and I've seen people just log in and troll. What was that guy? What was that guy's name? On Nostalris, it was like there was like a couple different people who wouldn't play the game, but they would just troll. It was Matt and Anime Girl. Was that what it was? Matt and Anime Girl. And there was another person in Orgrimmar that would just sit in Orgrimmar and just do /spit on everybody in Orgrimmar throughout the entire day. But that's what they enjoyed. Like I don't understand it personally, but
they got some kind of entertainment out of it, I guess.
Well, going back onto that, because vanilla and I guess games that take a long time to achieve anything in game, I think they have a greater sense of community. So when you guys have that, you have more server personalities within the game. Yeah. So for example, on Lights Hope, there's this guy. His name was Gordo. He was level 60. He was.
I love Gordo, by the way. Yeah. Big Gordo fan here.
Quick story, he's a dwarf 60 hunter that spent his whole day camping level 20s in Terran Mill. And he would go around naked, macroing /laughed every ability and like killing level 20 undead mage noobs, right? No. Now, like, whether that's like moral, whether that's like, fair, that's a different story, right? What I'm trying to say is everybody knew who he was. I'm told from the Horde side that people would say in general chat in Terran Mill, "Hey, is Gordo online? If yes, go somewhere else. If no, get your damn quest done right now, because he might be online very soon." Right. So it does lend to more server personalities, like world chat trolls, Orgrimmar trolls, so on and so on.
That's the cool thing about having servers, though, like different servers. Yeah. Like you can have one person on one server be known for this, or because remember back in the day, remember that like long ass story of like that Angui guy, the rogue, where he would just camp people. It was in like wetlands by the boats. And he'd get like all the whispers and shit, and he would just compile it, and he'd be known or like Serenity Now would be known on Illidan for crashing the funeral. Whatever. Yeah, good shit. That was good shit. Good time.
Yeah, that's good stuff back in the day. I think we talked about this maybe a couple weeks ago or something. But the old Realm forums. I loved the Realm forums back in the day. That was some of the best entertainment. A lot of my love for WoW and entertainment from WoW came from those Realm forums. We're going there and seeing the drama and the shit talk between people and all that fun stuff. Between guilds,
I would even go to other realm forums and check out what's going on. Realms. Like, it was funny as fuck. It was so funny. But,
it was always so much fun to have all that like actual community built, and that's kind of what I think also is a big thing that separates, obviously, Classic, even in TBC, etc., from retails. You have that sense of community, whereas it really didn't then. Even on these larger servers with 10K pop a lot of the time, you still kind of get to know, the main players in the game and the big guilds and all that fun stuff.
Hey, you guys want to talk about that real quick? Because I know you want you like mega servers, Lavos, or you want the high pop.
Yeah. Okay, so we can. Okay, so I'll ask.
Talk about that.
We'll ask you guys. We'll ask everyone in chat, everyone watching here. So private servers like 5 years ago, 1K population on a vanilla server was considered godlike. It was amazing, insane amounts of people. Right now in like 2016, since Nostalrius, 12K people, 10K people on one server, on one damn server is considered like pretty good, right? For some people. So for me personally, I loved like having tons of population, a complete clusterfuck for World PvP. I love that. But some people prefer 2K, 5K, 8K. What do you guys prefer here and in chat or anywhere if you guys are watching this?
Why don't you go first?
What population number?
It's tough for me. I like something in between personally. I think back on the NOS days, when you were 13, 14, 15K pop, you would never see anybody again for the most part. You knew the big guilds, but that was really about it, and like the big names in the server. But it's grouping and dungeoning. There's not really any real relationships for it. It felt more like really retail like, because you just find a group, no one would really talk. You do the dungeon, and then you'd split up, and that was kind of the end of the road for you. And it was super laggy, and obviously everyone remembers that and all that fun stuff. I really think a good medium is important. 5 to 6K is probably my ideal, where it's not too big, there's not too many people around, but it's not too small where you feel like the world is empty and it takes you forever to find groups. 5 to 6K, you'll usually be able to find groups in a reasonable time frame, and you'll still have that relationship building, I think. Even on Gummies, I feel like, a lot of the times I'm grouping with people for quests and stuff, you get chit-chatting because the population is smaller there. So when you have people in your level range, and you're leveling at the same pace roughly, you'll do a lot of the same dungeons, a lot of the same elite quests together. You kind of had that relationship building because the pop hits, 1,500, roughly give or take on a peak. So I think 5, 6K is my ideal, personally.
Yeah, like I would go with the Blizz, like if I had to pick, like if it was a poll or whatever, I would vote for like 3,000, 2,500, but I don't think it's like the thing with the high pop server. What I thought was, it's really good for World PvP, like having those amazing like World PvP matches, especially like Blackrock Mountain or at the World Boss. What was that video? It was at Hinterlands, right? With the World Boss.
Yeah, it was.
So that was really cool to watch. That was cool. It's cool to experience. I mean, I've been in those scenarios. Like I remember, Mark, were you there that one time in Grizzly? Or I forgot which guild it was. It was at the Emerald Dragon in Fairloss, and we had the GM had to reset the dragon. And
I wasn't there now.
And there was like a Horde guild, and there was like 2 Alliance guilds, like 2 different Alliance factions. Like we had the Sanctum crew, and you had the Grizzly crew. And then you had this outside factor of like the Horde, and the Horde came in with Zanzilla. Anyway, so you had those 3 categories of people all coming together, but that's something I'm pretty sure you wouldn't see on like a low pop server, like, or even like a Blizz like server, like 3,000 pop, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think you would see that. And I think 5 to 6 is pretty good. I'd probably be okay with it. Like 15. The only problem I have was like 15,000 is that I just feel that sometimes the feel of community might go away because there's so many people that you don't remember who they are. Like if you go in Ironforge, you're like, oh, I know that guy, I know that guy, I know that guy. But if there's like 15,000 people, I remember my Warlock, there was so many people in Orgrimmar that I didn't really realize who the fuck I was playing with. It honestly, it kind of felt like Cross Realm Zone. I gotta be honest, it felt like Cross Realm.
Yeah.
But like I would still be down to play it like on a separate server. Like if they, like, how in RuneScape they have like Iron Man mode, or I could see them doing something like that where they add a mode to make Classic like more, interesting and make it like a mega server on its own. I would play. I would check it out for sure. That would be cool.
That would be interesting, yeah. Almost
So-
Nost-like, quote unquote.
Yeah.
So we're only 20 minutes in, and we have our first conflicting opinion. So I like, dude, for me, dude, 10K, 20K, 40K, I don't give a shit, right? I love my World PvP, right? But
I mean, I'm
obviously-
down. I just want it to be a separate server. That's all.
Well, like they'd also have to do dynamic spawning, which is not really Blizz-like.
They would have to change a little
Yeah.
bit.
Yeah. There's no way you can have like one boar spawn every 10 minutes with that many people. But I do have to agree, man. There were times where it did feel like it's some random person I'm grouping up with on Nostarius. And what's kind of cool about like what 2K, 3K people on a server is if it's like your first run in a guild, like your trial or something, and you fuck up, other guilds will know. For example, like if you blow up your raid on Baron Geddon, like other guilds will know, yeah, this trial is shit, and you might have a very rough time finding a guild in that server because it's all close knit and slow pop.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it does feel like mega server ish with having tons of population. I think like 5K, 4K is decent though.
You know
I
what's
agree.
juicy though about the low pop? The drama. It's pretty
Yeah.
juicy. It can get
Yeah.
pretty
Yeah.
juicy. Like look at what's happening on Gummies. That I've never seen a server with so many memes before in my life. Like
Yeah, no, I agree, man.
it's insane over there. Like it's
Yeah, because
really
everyone is so
good.
close knit in there. Like you
Yeah.
said, everyone kind of knows everybody, knows everything about everybody. Whereas like on the bigger servers, know, let's say XYZ Ninja something, maybe only a small percent of the population will actually know. So
Mhm.
still get invited to runs and such. Whereas if you were on like a 2,500 pop server, pretty much everybody's gonna know who you are after you ninja or you screw up your guild or whatever it may be.
That's actually a good point. Yeah. It's also like important for PvP because you actually know the enemy's gear, right? You have these rivalries on a low pop server. Like
Mhm.
yeah, this guy has a Perdition Blade, he has a Thunder Fury, so on, so on. It's also really cool because for your faction mates, you know who has what recipe, you know
Yep.
who has who's a good tank, who's a bad tank, right? So I saw like the high pop thing in a PvP perspective, but from a raiding community perspective, it's kind of shitty because it does feel retail-y, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like mega server.
Pros and cons, of course, like always.
Yeah, pros and cons.
What's cool too is like a smaller server. Like you can if there's like an instance where like World PvP, like that with Grizzly with the guilds where we were trying to wipe them with the world buffs, right? Like
Mhm.
you can easily ask a question like, all right, what guild is it? Like it's so low pop that if you see a guild, you know what guild it is for sure. Like you're well aware of that guild. But on a high pop server, I remember like on Nostarius, for example, there'd be times where I'd log in, I'd be like, where the fuck did those people come from? Like I don't even know where
Yeah.
the hell they were. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? So that kind of concerns me a little bit.
So even
but-
on Lightbringer, sometimes I get that. I'll see a guild
Yeah.
running around. I'm like, who
Yeah.
are these people? And they're like AQ geared. I'm like, I've
Yeah.
never heard of this guild or seen them around before.
It's because it's a guild like it's like probably like a Chinese guild or Spanish guild or something that's off peak at a
Yeah.
different time. But
Exactly, never around the same time as we are.
Yeah.
It's pretty interesting to see.
Yeah, going on like kind of because we're all East Coast American, right? One thing I did actually love about private servers is meeting people from Europe, Australia, China, Russia, all that stuff, and that's gonna be gone on Classic. We're
Yeah.
gonna be
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
Eastern Coast players mostly, not even like West Coast, like probably East Coast. So are you guys gonna kind of like miss that interactivity with other cultures and groups, or is it just kind of be like whatever, it's WoW? Because I enjoyed it, man. I really did enjoy it.
For me, you know what I like though? I like interacting with them. I like interacting with different cultures and seeing what's going on around the world. But I will tell you what I miss though about the retail servers is that when you're all from the same region and something huge happens, like let's say, I don't know, a terrorist attack happens, or I don't know, Donald Trump gets impeached, or anything really, anything that could happen, anything that could happen in America, like
Yeah.
your entire chat is going to be aware of what that is. Like everybody's more
Right.
like they know of like updates on what's going on in your country, when maybe someone from Europe might be like, oh, I don't know what that is, I don't care. But it feels like more, I don't know, more of like a tight knit
It feels like a
community
forum.
a little bit.
Yeah.
It feels
Yeah.
more tight knit when you're with the same people. But at the same time, I mean, it's interesting rating with some Aussies or some people from EU.
Those
Yeah.
damn Swede players, man.
Dude,
They
the
dominate
Swedes are
private
usually
servers.
nice. I gotta be
I
honest.
know.
I don't think
I know. They're really cool.
I don't think I've known many terrible Swedish people. Like
They're all good.
generally
They're all
pretty
good at the game.
But
They're all generally good players too, yeah.
Well,
And I enjoyed
it's-
playing with Euros and such too. It's definitely a lot of fun, a lot of time. And it's nice to have those multiple time zones because the server always feels alive.
Oh yeah.
We
Yeah.
could be up until 3, 4, 5 a.m. and the server would still have at least 3, 4, 5,000 people on it. Maybe not a lot of people from our time zone or America, but you also have some people around to do dungeons with or PvP with at all times of day or night, which was definitely a pro of it. But I do agree having that smaller, tighter knit community is nice too. Like you said, for like world events or things that are happening, it's definitely more interesting in that aspect as well.
You know what's cool too is having the server realm zones again, like East Coast servers and West Coast servers, and like you
Hmm.
can actually like at nighttime. I tweeted this out yesterday. Like I realized it because I was like, I'm at Warlock and Orgrimmar, and I'm like, the sky is gonna look like actually nighttime when it's nighttime in my, in real life. Like it's gonna actually feel more interesting, I guess, or immersive a little bit. But
Yeah, definitely good times. I actually know of a few people who are in separate time zones who are actually going to be, or at least planning on playing on NA servers anyways. Like I know quite a few
with Grizzly,
guys from Australia. I'm not sure with Grizzly or who, but at least a few guys from Australia would definitely be playing on NA zones. Even though pings can be a lot worse, they'd rather have the higher population and such. So you never know what's going to happen.
Yeah, I don't think they had Aussie servers back then. I don't remember.
Oceanic servers, probably
Yeah,
not.
Oceanic.
Or maybe they were later. I think they weren't added till later on.
I
they
don't
were added
think
later.
they were at launch. I think they
Yeah.
added was it BC? It might be BC. They might have added it.
It was
way
pretty late
later.
on, I think. Like
Yeah.
nowadays, of course, they'd have them, but back then, I don't think they had them off the rip.
Do you think they're gonna have Oceanic for vanilla? I mean, that's one of those changes that's like obvious though. Like,
Yeah,
like come on, man. Like, who the fuck is gonna advocate for no Oceanic servers for vanilla WoW? Like, come on.
Hashtag no changes,
Like,
no Oceanic
what the
servers.
fuck?
I'd be very
That's
surprised if they
ridiculous.
didn't.
Like, I would be shocked if they didn't have Oceanic servers or regional
Yeah,
servers. Like,
I'm sure they'll have regional servers all over, just like they do for retail. I'm sure that'll be one thing that's similar to retail. Will be the servers and each in their own time zones, like you said, East Coast, West Coast for us, which will be nice too for the lower ping. So it'll be enjoyable.
Those poor Aussie boys have been shafted every game, every MMO, man. Like they always play with 400 ping, right? And they're always good sports about it too. Like they never complain about, oh, I have 500, second delay in game, right? They're always
Yeah.
good sports about it. So.
But,
Yeah.
but the EU players can't play on gummies with the
Yeah,
what is it,
yeah.
the 110 ping that I deal with on the Starius for fucking
That we
2
deal with
years.
for how
all
long?
that
Yeah.
yeah, it's ridiculous. But
Yeah. The second you go above 30 ping and you're from Europe, it's like it's unplayable. Can't play the game
it's
anymore.
a deal breaker. Over 30 MS is you got to be 20 or less. Come on, deal breaker.
That's one thing I actually really like about Lightbringer, just randomly bringing it up, but my ping is so much lower on Lightbringer than on other private servers. Like, it's a good, 20 to 30 ping lower than, Kronos or something.
I have
Whoa.
noticed that too. I've gotten
I get
better
about
at ping
87
on Lightbringer than the Starius for sure.
Yeah. Oh, me too. Much better. Like,
Wow.
20 lower, probably.
Yeah.
It's wonderful. Actually makes a difference. It does feel a lot better.
Did you say Kronos?
I did.
Did you say
Chronos?
K3?
Kronos? Wow.
Yeah, fresh server.
Fresh, by the way.
Lights Hope will by far be like people can
Yeah.
play in Chronos if they want. I don't give a shit, but I think it's pretty obvious that Lights Hope is going to be, or their fresh server is going to be the place to play vanilla WoW. Before
I agree.
Classic.
Oh, of course. I think a lot of people are going to quit Kronos for Lights Hope Fresh. Even a lot of people who are 60, I know a lot of people who hit 60 and are farming Priebus and shit are going to quit Kronos come June and just play on Lights Hope Fresh instead.
So quality aside, like I have my own personal thoughts. I like Lights Hope more personally, but in the fresh private server war, it's about who comes out last, right? And Lights Hope is coming out after K3 came out. So whoever comes last, whoever gets the last laugh is going to win in terms of the private server fresh war. So
Don't forget the constant shilling.
yeah,
The constant shilling on the
well, why do you
Reddit
think that? Why do you guys
accounts.
think that is? Why do you think people have like a sudden urge to defend random private servers and even not even like games, right? Games, MMOs, whatever on like Reddit forums.
I think they're not. I think they're scared and they're not confident in the server. That could be a factor. I mean, maybe they think deep down that maybe the server won't last very long, or maybe, and they want to defend the server and try to get more people on it. I mean, the same. I see it the same way with gummies. Like gummies, though, is a different case. But with Felmist, you still have people actively trying to, defend it. But at the same time, that could be because the pop is so low.
Mhm.
But
Yeah, people want to advertise their server and bring more people too. If they're enjoying playing the server, they might think others will enjoy playing it. They want to bring more people there so they have a better experience. Or the same thing you said too, like Kronos versus Lights Hope thing. A lot of people want Kronos to live this time because last time it got killed off too, and most people assume that's going to be the same thing that happens. Like we just said with Lights Hope Fresh, I'm sure Kronos' pop will be like it was on K2, like maybe 1.52K peaks after Lights Hope Fresh releases, where they'll have like 10K probably,
yeah.
and all the big guilds, most of the big players will be over on Lights Hope for for those reasons.
Well, I mean, most of the people and players that like we know, we're pretty interactive with the community. Most of the people that we know they're going to Lights Hope Fresh. I mean, it's just how it is right now.
Well,
I mean,
I think like the constant, I guess they call it shilling, right? I think the constant shilling stems from if it was like a 10 times XP server, nobody would give a shit, right? It is what it is. But because it takes so damn long to hit 1 to 60 on a one-time server, you feel we've been there before. Like we've leveled on a server, taking like 5-6 days in-game time, and the server dies randomly, and it feels like shit, right? It feels like wow,
Yep.
like classic WoW win, right? We need it to come out very, very soon.
Yeah,
So I
please,
think
Blizzard.
yeah, I mean it's coming out now, but I think it's a good segue to our second topic. So speaking of classic WoW, they announced the BFA release date. It's August 14th. Okay, now that's kind of like a separate topic, but do you guys think that has any implication on the classic WoW release date? Because it's like widely theorized that classic WoW might come out during like a patch, bit of like downtime during the patches of BFA, right? So when do you guys think classic WoW will come out?
You want to start, Alex?
2019.
What
That's
quarter?
a safe bet.
Come on, Alex, don't be safe.
You know why it's tough?
Give us a quarter,
quarter two. But you know why it's tough? Because your thinking process is like, why the hell would Blizzard release Classic during summertime?
Yeah.
Why would they do that? It's, at
Have
the
they ever
same
released
time,
any games or anything in the summer? I don't even know, honestly. I don't think so, but I could be totally wrong. Just something that's thought
Overwatch
of.
was released in. It's same company but different game. But Overwatch was released, I believe, in April or May of the year it was released. One of the expansions wasn't Mist of Pandaria released like in midsummer?
May have been. I'll Google it real quick.
Yeah,
look it
Google
up.
it. It could be. I think Mist might have been released middle of or August maybe. Mop was
Let's
May. Someone's saying that Mop was May.
Let's see. BC was January. Wrath was November. Kata was December. Mist was September. WoD was November, and Legion was in August. So Legion was the closest one. The rest were all basically in the winter.
I think
Fall or winter.
I think like game companies know that fall winter is the best time to release a game for like for sales.
But they're technically not releasing a game.
Well,
technically
not.
I don't know. Maybe
Could be. Maybe that's just their release schedule for expansions. You know, it's gonna be really interesting to see like on.
But it's gonna be bigger than WoD, man, and Legion. Like Classic WoW is gonna be gigantic.
Oh, it's gonna be the biggest sub numbers they've ever had. It's in my opinion, that's what it's gonna be like. I mean,
But you
over
think
12 million.
12 million?
Yes.
Do you think it'll surpass it?
Yes.
Right off the rip or over time?
Right off the rip, the first few weeks, probably maybe the first month or two, I would say. Maybe not at launch.
They don't report
maybe not at
numbers
launch,
anymore, but it's probably like 2-3 million subs right now, man. Like
Right now, probably.
that's a 10 million sub jump.
Speaking of BFA, I don't even see the hype. Like I even with Warlords, I wasn't interested in it at all. But I still felt hype for it. I still had people talking about it all the time. People were hyped for that expansion. It turned out crap, but I would say Warlords was one of the most hyped expansions they've ever had because there were so many returning characters, so much lore was involved with that expansion, and then it just shit the bed. But not feeling it this time. It reminds me of you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of Mist of Pandaria hype. Like there's no negative hype really, but it's just not
really
there
hype in the
It's
first
not there.
place.
No.
I agree because I remember back in like WoD or even pre-Legion to a lesser extent than WoD, but mostly WoD, like you said, there was a lot of hype around there. People were talking about it all over the forums, all over Reddit. Like you couldn't go anywhere without hearing about it in some way, shape, or form. And you said that I have not noticed that at all with BFA, and it's only 4 months out. It's not like it's far away. So pretty
Because
interesting.
WoD was touted as like TBC 2.0. That's why.
True.
And we were hyped out for it, but it just feels like BFA, and like Blizzard does this a lot in the recent expansions, but it feels like BFA is going to be Horde versus Alliance, but we all know how it ends. It's going to be Horde versus Alliance, like class conflict, faction conflict, and then in the end, we unite against a common enemy and we team up and kill the common enemy, and now we're friends again, and repeat like infinite amounts of times, right? Happen in MoP, happen in WoD, it's gonna happen in BFA, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think. Well, it's why I love vanilla. It's because there's a genuine hatred between the Alliance and Horde, between
Mhm.
like players themselves and in-game characters, right?
You know what I just realized, actually? This is a really good point. So it releases in August, right?
Mm-hmm.
Lights Hope Fresh is 2 months before that.
Yeah.
I mean, that could actually deter people from buying BFA.
I mean-
it could.
I don't plan on buying it. I mean, every expansion since, I guess, Kata, I would say, I've played less and less. Like, Kata, I played for Season 9, however, probably 3 or 4 months, maybe max this season, so probably played for 3 more months. Then Miss, I played for, like, maybe a month or two. WoD, I didn't even hit max. WoD is the first expansion, I didn't even hit max level, and I played to, like, 97, or the max was 100, I think, in WoD, right? Like, I hit, like, 97 or something and quit, got bored. And then in Legion, same thing, I played for, like, I don't know, an hour and got
Yeah,
bored.
but
So.
Mark, you said that you wouldn't buy it, but you bought all those expansions anyway.
I bought those ones, yeah, but I feel like I've learned my lesson at this
Yeah.
point where,
Dude,
I always buy it
BFA,
expecting
man.
Blizzard to do something better, and then just end up disappointed every single time.
Are you going to buy
it's-
BFA, Lavos?
Dude, I the only expansion I didn't play was Kata. I always try to give it a shot, and I am the problem too.
Yeah.
Everyone here is the problem. We're like,
I said I wouldn't buy Legion. I ended up buying it. So, I mean,
Dude,
Yeah.
I know. Blizzard has this magnetic pull where the ex-customers find a way back somehow, even though they know it's gonna be dog shit. I remember when Star Race died. This sounds so petty, but I uninstalled Hearthstone.
so did
and-
I.
and-
I did too. I installed
Out of
uninstalled
principle.
all Blizzard products.
Me
did.
too. I was like, I am this. This probably makes no effect on them, but I am so petty
Yep.
that I vowed to never play a Blizzard product for 2 years,
Dude.
and then I bought Legion. So.
People hate. Were you guys there for the shutdown? Like on that day? Like, I
Yeah,
remember
yeah.
people
Oh, yeah.
yelling "fuck Blizzard." They were yelling all this stuff, just like going against Blizzard. Just like it was really, that day was crazy, man. That was like one of
It was
the
entertaining,
craziest
that's for
days
sure.
I've seen in a while.
In a good and bad way.
Online.
Yeah.
I always like feel weird saying this, but I was genuinely gutted. Like I was actually sad for a couple days afterward.
I
Like
think a lot of people were.
my
I was
brother
really
was
sad.
like, "Dude, are you okay?" Right? I was like, "Nah, some work stuff, whatever, some school stuff." But inside, I was like, "Damn, those bastards at Blizzard shut down the server I was playing on for the past
So
year."
pissed.
So
Oh,
Yeah.
I was mad.
Everyone has so many good memories from NOS and made so many good friendships and like relationships. I've carried on even through these servers we're on now and Lightbringer and such. I think that's why
Yeah.
it was the first like huge private server where people had this big community and everyone was so invested into it. I feel like that's the first one to really come to that tipping point almost.
Mhm.
And when it was shut down, everyone was, like you said, just gutted. Like I remember I was playing and people started saying in general chat, they're like, the server's shutting down, and I was like, what the fuck?
I
So
thought
I go onto the
massive troll.
website. I'm like, son of a
they're
Yeah.
trolling too.
I was like on my warrior. I was taking a shower. I came back. I thought people were trolling. I was like, people are just fucking around.
Yeah,
and
me
then I logged
too.
onto my warlock, and everybody was like freaking the fuck out. I'm like, dude, oh come on, not. This can't
Felt
happen.
really bad,
I just
man.
got like kind of depressed, and
the
the worst part about that was at the time, I don't think there was another option. At the time,
There wasn't really, no, because you had Elysium 1 came out, I think, over the summer, right? Like a couple months later, Elysium 1, yikes. And
That
then
was so bad. Like that's so bad.
Yeah.
it was probably a good, like, 7-8 month lull with, like, good vanilla servers where there was nothing going on.
That's why I
Waiting
think
for-
that's why I think I bought Legion too. I think at the time there wasn't really a private server besides like K2, and it was kind of going down. Like Pop
Yeah, it was already on
at that point, and there was just no option. The only option to play WoW was Legion. So
Mhm.
Well, going back to the top, so Alex said maybe Q2, potentially Q3, 2019. What about you, Mark? When do you think Classic WoW is going to come out? Because
Just-
BFA comes out in August.
Just based off of their past releases, I would say Q3, Q4, probably 2019. I don't think they would want to wait until 2020. Like Q1 2020 is probably way too far away, and they don't want to lose the kind of hype train that they have for it. So I think the safe bet is probably Q3, Q4. of next year. They'll probably give BFA like a good year so to do its thing, see how it does, etc. And then once they kind of hit that content drought that they always do, they'll probably want to bring the subs, keep them up, or even raise them higher with that classic release, at that time. So that's my guess, at least.
So I think Q3 is the most realistic, but any chances for cheeky Q4 2018 Christmas release this year?
I'm sure.
5%
Oh, this year you mean?
maybe?
Oh, this year. I highly doubt it.
This year.
I think that
because it would be one patch of BFA.
Would bring back the true magic of WoW. A surprise. If they surprise, like imagine if they surprised us. Now I don't think this is going to happen, but imagine if it did. Imagine if at BlizzCon this year they came out and said, like right at the end of BlizzCon, "Oh yeah,
by the way,
we're live," and you can just go play right now. I mean,
from a corporate standpoint, that'll never happen. I doubt it. But it would be awesome. Don't get me wrong. I would love like a Q4 like this year. It would be incredible. But they want to do their advertising, I'm sure, and their marketing and all that BS. They're not gonna. But it would be fucking great
if you do start seeing advertising, then I would start questioning big time.
Right.
But
yeah, when you start to see that kind of creep up, I think that's when you'll have an idea. Okay, it's probably coming out hopefully sooner rather than later.
Let's be real here. They're probably at Blizzard headquarters. They're probably some like marketing analyst room where they say on a chart board or something where they're like, "Oh yeah, start this at this date, and then we start we start the advertisements, and then this date we do the beta or whatever." They probably already got it all set up.
Oh yeah, it's all done to a science for a company that big,
Yep.
So after years of them saying, private server players go fuck yourself, blah blah blah, shutting down random servers, why do you think they release Classic? Is it purely from money perspective, or do you think there's
Yeah, I think there's an untapped market. That's they're a company and their goal is to make money, and they think there's an untapped market, which there is a huge one of players who don't enjoy current Blizzard content in games. It's just not their style. Heroes of the Storm. I never played Heroes of the Storm. I've never played Hearthstone. Just does not attract me at all as far as the game goes. And obviously we all know retail, how that goes for all of us. And they know that there's that. A lot of us we're loyal Blizzard fans. Like I loved Blizzard. I loved everything they did. Warcraft 3, Reign of Chaos, Frozen Throne. WoW. I mean, I loved them for what they did. And since probably 2010-ish, 2011, my fandom, I guess, what do you want to call it, as a Blizzard fan has steadily decreased. So
Cataclysm, dude.
Yeah, I think season 9 was a great season.
We were just like raid logging and just flying above Stormwind. Just we were flying them out, doing literally nothing in the game. I remember.
Yeah.
Good times, Blizzard.
Well, I didn't even raid then. I just did season 9 arena, and that was pretty much it. And then I quit after season 9. I was like, all right, I'm good. It was fun for a little while.
I think like a lot of the current motivation for releasing Classic WoW is to get people to play BFA, in my opinion. And that's why I kind of theorized, I think it's going to be Q3 2019, but I feel like if they do a December 2018 release during Christmas, they would get people from like lost customers like myself and you guys back and play BFA, back to go play BFA. Because people are not going to play BFA when it's like at the end of the expansion. There's no point, right?
That's the thing. People don't really talk about much is like, if they release it so late in like 2020, like wouldn't Blizzard want to give you a somewhat incentive to buy BFA? Like that's what I would imagine. I don't like. What are they just going to say? Oh, all classic players are not going to buy BFA anyway, so who cares? I mean, that's pretty bad business plan.
I guess the question is how they'll structure subs and such. Like if you sub to WoW, do you get Classic and Current? Is it all bundled under the $115 a month, or is it
let's
separate?
talk about that. What do you guys think it's going to look like for that, like money wise?
I think it'll probably be bundled. I couldn't really see them doing it separate, 15 and 15. But the thing I'm curious about is, like you just mentioned, the expansions. Okay, if I'm subs to WoW for $15 a month and I'm playing on Classic, we'll still have to buy BFA separately, I'm sure. So what incentive would they give us, if any, to do so? Because I know that's not really our style per se. So
what if they make it so you can log in, but you can't select like the server itself on BFA unless you have BFA? You think they would do that?
maybe like trial things they do where you can go to
Yeah.
X level until you buy it. Like, you can level till, I don't know, 80 or something until you actually purchase the game, something like that. Maybe.
Right. Yeah,
I'm not sure.
I
Because
think
like
for
there's a
sure-
good point that you mentioned about us having no need to buy BFA, and not having no incentive to do so.
I don't know. I didn't say I wasn't gonna buy BFA, but it's looking like it might be the first expansion I just not buy. There's really no. There's a lot of factors. There's no hype around it at all. It's releasing right around a vanilla private server release. The lore is kind of uninteresting, to be honest. I mean, that's what I liked about Burning Crusade. Like when you went into Burning Crusade, you went into the Dark Portal, and you saw like this new world, and it was kind of really exciting because you wanted to explore it all. I don't even know what the islands are called. I don't even know what they're called. Like, is it Kul Tiras? Is that what it is? I don't know. This is the
I
first
think it's
expansion. I don't even know.
Kulturas. I believe so, yeah.
I think the BFA trailer was probably the worst hype, like the worst hype trailer for the past like 4 or 5 expansions.
Yeah.
Even
Yeah.
like I don't know, man.
You
It
know which
reminds
expansion
me.
had a great trailer? Warlords.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
why we're hyped up for it. Warlords had a great trailer. I agree, man. Especially when you go from like fighting pandas to like TBC 2.0 trailer. It was people were hyped for it, man. There's no doubt about it. But
You saw, I think, did they still do sub numbers back then for WAD? They stopped after WAD, I think, right?
they
Or
stopped
was
doing
it
WAD.
during WAD? Okay, because there was a big spike for WAD, and then it dropped. There was a huge drop too, like the biggest one they've seen. I'm pretty sure.
Well,
That's when they cut off.
they said that they don't need to report sub numbers due to their new model, which was reliant on microtransactions. And yeah, do you guys want to talk about that briefly? How?
Yikes.
So I personally think there's no chance in hell there will be LFR, transmog, whatever in vanilla, right? I don't think they're that dumb. But
Right.
a fear of mine is WoW token. I think that could potentially happen.
I don't think so anymore.
Yeah.
Because like they did say like during pristine servers that they wouldn't have it. So that's good itself, but it seems
did,
like
yeah.
if you go on Reddit and the forums, they're really against it now. I think people are really aware of what WoW token is. Like I was reading a thread. There's a thread on Classic WoW subreddit, and they were talking about WoW token, and it was a guy saying you need to learn and accept the WoW token, and there's just massive amounts of comments saying you're an idiot, you don't know what you're talking about, just stop talking, and it was all upvoted. I just think people are just really. I don't know. I
But
mean,
this
now,
is-
however, what about race and faction change? That's what I'm worried about personally. I hope that's not in.
Well, in vanilla, you had server transfers at some point. I'm pretty sure, right? In
I
vanilla,
looked this up
if I'm not
last
mistaken.
night. Race change and faction change because I know it wasn't in vanilla, but I wasn't sure if it was in
Right.
BC or Wrath. That shit wasn't in until Wrath,
Yeah, I didn't think it was in BC either. Okay.
not in BC.
But server transfers were in vanilla and TBC, I think, right?
Server transfer was in vanilla, like at the very end,
Like a late patch, right? Yeah, one of
and
the later
it was
patches.
on a 6-month cooldown, so you can only do it
Okay.
every 6 months.
Was it really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that.
Well, like, so I
Remember
know
we
obviously,
transferred at the beginning of TBC. Yeah.
like the thing is, like, public perception of WoW token is horrible, right? But we're talking about Blizzard's bottom line. It's not really about
Mhm.
what we want. It's about what will make Blizzard the most money. And it's clear that they moved to a new microtransaction model for Hearthstone, WoW, Heroes,
Mhm.
so on and so on. So they know Classic WoW is going to have upwards of, I'm not sure if it's going to be like 10 million subs again, but it's going to be a lot of subs, right? And they might bring back the WoW token, I feel like.
Yeah. I mean, all
I
we can
hope
do is
not.
hope that they don't. Yeah, exactly.
I don't
I-
want
I-
to see. Here's exactly what's going to happen if we have the WoW token, and you guys know I'm right.
Yeah,
People
no.
are going to buy the token, and we already have raid loggers. They're going to buy the token and use that and sell it and buy consumables and never log in unless
Mhm.
they raid. And that's
Yep.
exactly what's going to happen. You're going to have a dead world on these dead servers. There's going to be no reason to play.
Right. Very true. Very true.
There's no reason.
I don't
just-
think Blizzard's dumb enough to do that because I have confidence in Blizzard because they have said multiple times, vanilla is vanilla. And, they always say, oh, talk about, what the community wants and such on the forums. But a corporation like Blizzard, I mean, when they make it a big announcement like that, they already know exactly what they're doing. They have a general release schedule, I'm sure. Like, okay, this month so-and-so, this month so-and-so. Not exact, but they probably know mostly how they're going to do the game, what changes, if any, they were going to have, all that fun stuff. before even taking any community input. I don't think they would really, take that and change the game based off of that. But I don't. They did kind of do so, through these expansions over the years. So, that's just my take on it, I guess.
Now, let's say hypothetically, they did put faction change in for vanilla. I mean,
what do I still play? I don't know.
It wouldn't feel right to me because would I still play? I don't know. I don't know. Probably not. The faction change. The problem with faction change is like you're supposed to like really really focus on your faction in vanilla WoW. Like you're just gonna have people switch back and forth. Like, is there gonna be a cooldown on it? Like even then,
like a 6 month cooldown again or something.
It didn't exist in vanilla. It wasn't here all the way until Wrath of the Lich King. I mean, it's 100% no from me. Like, I would not want to see it. Now, race change, too. Here's the problem with race change. This is an even bigger problem. Because we all know that there's certain races in vanilla that are OP and that they're useful for certain classes. Like, if you're like Orc, 25% stun resist, or Will of the Forsaken, right? Now, people that play the game originally, or they never played before, they don't know that. Like, they, for example, will probably roll Night Elf Priest and be, like, surprised when they don't get an invite to a raiding guild. Well, they might get into a raiding guild, but not the top ones.
Less desirable, right?
Less desirable, for sure. And if they have race change, then what's stopping everybody from just switching to the most powerful races?
Right.
I think that's one of the reasons why they didn't have it in Burning Crusade. I mean, if I remember, I think people were requesting it, and people said no because you're just going to immediately just race change to the most powerful race for that class.
Everyone just be undead.
Yeah, I mean, you're never going to have trolls. Like,
right.
Yeah. No, I remember when you make your character, it says, like, if you make an orc, it says, like, hardiness, increased stun resist. It didn't tell anybody 25% damn stun resist. If people knew that, they would have gone orc, right? It just says, like, vague descriptions of it.
Yeah.
Where do you guys draw the line in terms of functionality versus aesthetic when it comes to races? How much does it matter to you guys that, for example, dwarf is the best priest race, for example, on Alliance, but maybe you want to be a nice, pretty human female priest? I don't know. Does it matter to you guys, or are you guys all about the functionality of races?
I hate being a dwarf, but I have
do you?
Do you really?
Do you really?
I
didn't know that.
I hate dwarf.
Oh
dude.
my god!
I hate it. I'd rather be human.
It's because you have female dwarf, man. That's why you gotta be female.
But
yeah,
like,
they're pretty thick, man. I agree.
I miss undead. I'm gonna be undead on fresh. I can't wait. But dwarf. But I like min maxing. I like being able to be the best possible, way I can help the raid. I mean,
yeah,
dwarf is a no brainer on Alliance, and the racials are so overpowered. It's ridiculous. Stone form, desperate prayer, fear word.
It's crazy.
You can't. You have to go dwarf on Alliance.
There's aesthetic, and then there's the feeling of being the sole reason why your guild can do Nyxia on progression because you're a dwarf. Like that feels pretty damn good when you're like kind of carrying a 40-man raid group because you have fear ward and your tanks are shit and they can't stand stance, for example, right? That feels pretty good.
Not to mention the added benefits of like giving fear ward to your melee, like on Magmadar, or what's another fight we usually use fear ward on? Bug Trio.
Bug Trio, Maggie, if you didn't mention him.
No.
What do you think, Mark? Race or
I am very min-max. Like, I'm very try-hard when it comes to PvP, PvE. So I'm all about, top tier. I'll roll human for rogue or warrior for the sword spec and mace spec and stuff like that. But I do enjoy. I mean, if I wasn't like that, obviously I would go more for the aesthetic appeal. But because I'm such a min-max, like try-hard player, I always am going to go for the best one, even if I don't think it's the best look-wise. Like, if I was horde, I was making a warlock, I would roll orc. Do I think undead looks better? Yeah, for sure. But the stun resist is just absolutely busted, and I can't give it up personally for the aesthetic appeal. That's just my opinion. How about you?
If you had to play a mage, would you go troll?
If I was, so this is different, because if I was only focused on PvE try hard, then yeah, I would. If I was only PvEing on the character, I would for Berserking for sure. But if I was doing a mix, I would definitely go undead because Will has some usefulness in PvE on a few encounters like we just mentioned, and obviously it's really useful in PvP. So, but if I was purely PvE focused, hell yeah, I'd go troll.
For me, it depends, man. Honestly. So for me, I actually can't stand the human male models in vanilla and in retail. I think any human male model, no offense to anyone that plays human male, but they all look like they're kind of, creepy, right? They
Dude, the
look
human male model with the red animation
They
in retail
constantly
is
look like
so bad.
they're like suffering to take a shit or something. Like,
yeah, they
it's
have like a
they,
very
yeah,
constipated face.
yeah.
So when it comes to that, the thing is, I kind of like, because if I have to stare at a character for 60 levels on a one-time server, right? I want my character to look good, or I want to enjoy the aesthetic of it, for example. But when it comes to, like, for example, when it comes to warriors that want a DPS, I don't think human is amazing, but there's so many axes and other weapons that can go around that you can be night elf and have some good weapons. I feel like with Edgemaster, but
Hmm.
I don't know. I think I'm not as I like aesthetic more than functionality when it comes to certain stuff. But if the only exception to that is if I can go orc on horde, I'm going orc. Like, I've seen it so many times, man. Like, I'm PvPing on stream or whatever, and they resist a stun. It's you win automatically. In a 1v1, if you resist a stun due to your orc racial, you pretty much win the fight. It's
Hmm.
just how it is.
Especially
If you don't royally mess up, otherwise, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, like if a
rogue
misses
misses
kidney
that cheap
shot.
shot,
Yeah,
or
yeah,
kidney
or
shot.
cheap shot.
Yeah, it's pretty much GG.
GG, idiot.
Yikes.
Get outplayed by my passive racial, noob.
RNG, by the way.
So we're about an hour in. Do you want to start the Q&A, or because I know Mark has to
Sure.
go early today. So yeah,
Yeah, sure.
okay. So guys, we're gonna do this is the section where we're gonna do a Q&A. We're gonna do this is why we have the chat. So when we do the podcast, the last section is gonna be Q&A. You guys can ask questions in the chat, and our mods will, or maybe if we find a question we like, we'll answer it. We'll talk about it for a bit. So if you guys have any questions, you want us to talk about, or you want answers for it, and we'll take those for like the last segment of the podcast. So of course the
Time
first
cop
question is
video
time cop
when?
video when, dude? When's the time
course
cop
it
video
is.
coming?
So the time cap video is like a year late right now. It's like 11 months late. All right, it's like 11 months late. But I just ordered a new PC and everything, and I have this time cap video. Basically, it seems to have the voiceover and such done to it. So I'm gonna try to have it out before I actually start streaming again on Gummies and on Fresh. So by June, the latest, but probably sometime in May, I would assume.
Have you decided why you're gonna play Fresh? Or
Why I'm gonna play Fresh?
Not why, but what you're gonna play in Fresh.
I want to play Horde. Horde, I'm not sure what yet. I mean, I always say when I play something different, I always default back to Warlock. So Warlock is definitely in the running. Hunter's in the running too, so we'll see. I'm not sure yet. How about you? I know you have Undead Priest.
I'm gonna go
right?
Shadow this time. I think I'm gonna go Shadow and have that experience just for be Shadow. But honestly, realistically, yeah, down the road, I'm probably just gonna heal again because that's usually.
See you guys out in Battlefield, boys. I'm repping the Alliance.
Are you
That's a
on
good
Alliance?
question that I saw,
God.
in chat here. Do we want progressive? What are we doing with PvP at launch for Gothic servers? Like, do you guys want BGs at launch? Do you want BGs at patch 1.5? Do you want the honor system at launch or the honor system at 1.4?
I like how it was back in the day. I'm personally not a huge fan of BGs except for Arathi Basin. You guys know. So just to give you guys a summary on private servers, and this is how it's going to be on Classic WoW, by the way. And sorry to burst your bubble, but Alterac Valley is not a 10-hour epic PvP fest. Alterac Valley is pretty much glorified raiding. People will skip all the way till Galv or Van, whatever his name is, right? They'll skip toward the end boss and hardly fight. So that's kind of why I like World PvP, and I really hope we don't see BGs for the first. Is it 3 or 4 patches? I'm not sure. Until
1.4, I
It's
think,
about
right?
6 months. It's a significantly long time. 6 months.
That's actually a long ass
Yeah, it's a
time.
long time. It's about a third of the life cycle of vanilla.
Yeah, and there is no honor system, which means no ranking until that point either.
I mean,
believe,
if it was
right?
like a month of time, I could kind of see it at launch. But 6 months, I mean, that's a long period of time. And I
Yeah.
think what people don't realize is that, like on these private servers, yeah, we start with we have BGs, but there was a period of time, a lengthy period of time in Vanilla WoW, for the first half of 2005, that didn't have BGs. They had constant world PvP, and that's where like you'd have Terran Mill versus South Shore, and you'd have the constant world PvP in STV and all those areas. I mean, sure, it still was there afterwards, but it wasn't as special as it was in the beginning. And I think people, I think that's something that people might be confused on. They might not be, hey, maybe I want BGs. Well, think about, think about it in a world without BGs. I mean, think of the possibilities and the fun that you might have with a world where everybody's out in the world PvPing together. I mean, there's a lot of battles and a lot of fun times that you can have without BGs.
Just because there's no ranking system doesn't mean there's going to be so much competition for herbs, nodes, mobs, devil sword, all that fun stuff that PvP will happen anyway. Just because there's no honor system doesn't mean that it won't happen. So,
Right, it's going to naturally occur either way.
Yeah.
You just won't have that ranking sitting in BGs for 12, 14 hours a day. That's all.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I don't know. It's tough. That's a tough one, honestly. I don't know if 6 months. I think 6 months is too long, though. Personally,
You could do,
It's not
you could do
happening.
3 months. I mean,
Yeah, I think a few months.
Obviously, I would vote for 6 months, no BGs, how it was. But I mean, if they did
Yeah.
3 months, I mean, it wouldn't be the end of the world. But
Right.
I think we should at least get a period of time where there is no BGs and experience that again.
Yeah. Terran Mill versus South Shore, all that fun stuff.
So Rasty asks, do you think Horde or Alliance have an easier time in raid, and why?
Alliance.
This is the age-old
Alliance has
question.
an easier time, but
Yeah.
Horde has the higher skill cap for sure.
Okay, that's it. I agree with that, especially with threat, right? I mean, managing your threat and making sure you can DPS and so you don't get salve on Horde side.
Yeah, Salve
No-
and
no
Fear
Fear
Ward,
Ward, that's
Paladins,
big.
generally speaking,
Big.
make it so much easier on Alliance for progression and stuff. But I think when it comes to like speed running and such like that, I think Horde definitely has a higher skill cap because your melee DPS can do more with Wind Fury if you have a really good tank. I think that skill cap is higher on the Horde side eventually, but for progression, Alliance definitely has the upper hand all day.
So I guess it just comes down to what has more impact, Shaman or Paladin in PvE, and I think Paladins are pretty
Yeah.
broken.
Yeah, Paladins are so strong.
Yeah,
And this is
Last
me, the
Saints.
no changes guy that wants to go Horde. No changes, and I'm still going Horde. So yeah.
I'm surprised I haven't seen too much. There should be Paladins on the Horde and Shaman on the Alliance BS
Yeah, you know
on
what?
Battle.net. Are you not surprised by that
I
either?
think, you know what I think that is? That's living proof. These guys have no idea what they're talking about.
don't even
and-
know
and
that there's
they
no shaman.
don't even remember playing the game. Like that's why,
Yeah.
guys, it's important to at least try a server just to see it, re-experience it just for a little bit, even if you don't want to spoil it, because that's actually a pretty good question. Why does nobody complain that Paladins are on Alliance or are on Horde? Like in
Right, maybe they don't realize how big the advantage is
It's
to the
such a
Alliance
huge
for the most
advantage.
part.
Like, Alliance, I would imagine, is going to get world first every single time in vanilla for anything if we re-experience it.
I would be surprised if Alliance wasn't taking those for the most part. Yeah, like if maybe not. Well, I guess maybe if like MC and Ani server first, it's whoever's faster. It doesn't really matter, faction as much. But like when you have like the same release date for like Black Noir or AQ or something, yeah, Alliance should definitely take the cake every time. I'd be surprised if they didn't.
Right.
Just too busted with Paladins.
Do we have any more questions? This guy asked a question here. Hold on, what's his name here? Bluggy, accelerate the raid release schedule. Vanilla was 20 months to Nax. Legion was less than 12 months to final raid. Okay, so his question is, should we accelerate the raid release schedule to mimic Legions? No.
I don't like changes to. You know why? I realized this last night. You know why I don't like You know why I like having no changes? It's because back then, and I'm pretty sure a majority of people watching here, we never killed KT. I know I didn't.
Yeah.
I know you guys didn't. I know
Very few people did.
And I want to go back in 2019 or 2020 or whenever it comes out and kill KT, kill Cthulhu, all that fun stuff. And not have some random person like coming in and say, "Oh, well, you had changes, right? It's different." Right?
I've been thinking about that a lot recently, actually.
Yeah.
Like, wouldn't you want to go back and do it the right way and exactly how it was to like? What the hell?
Obviously, it's different because I'm 24 now. I'm not like 12 years old with a juice box in my lunch pack, right? I'm, like I'm out there. But the thing is, like I do, and it's kind of different. But at the same time, I do want to clear this stuff as it was back then and be like, yeah, hell yeah. 13 years later, I finished my unfinished business. I did what I meant to do, and I'm happy now. Whereas if they had changed like accelerated release, faster release schedule, LFR, or whatever, then it'd feel different for sure. So.
Yeah, and like you said, people would be like, "Oh, well, it's not the same as it was back then, so it's not. It doesn't count," or some BS.
But
The only
for that
benefit
question,
I
no.
could see of it from the devil's advocate point of view is that maybe the content would be kind of harder because people are getting less gear and there's less lockouts over time. But at the same time, I mean, that wasn't vanilla. I mean, there you rated MC for was it 6 to 8 months? Was it 6 months? I think it was.
Yeah, it was 6 or 8 months of just MC. Yeah,
6 to 8 months, and then you had BWL for a long period of time, and then AQ.
like
and then,
4 or 6. Yeah.
I mean, I don't think there's a need to accelerate it. I mean, I'd rather it be Blizz like, for 2 years, and then I mean, if I had it my way, we'd do vanilla for 2 years, and then we go to BC for 2 years, and we go to Wrath for 2 years, and then we fucking reset it, and we go back from scratch.
I agree. Yeah, definitely agree with that. I mean, I think we should definitely move on to BC. And it's probably just a different question, but I think moving on to BC as opposed to doing a patch, 1.13 is the better move, I think. And also from a corporate standpoint, I don't know if Blizzard wants to invest that kind of manpower to create all new content and, rebrand and refurbish everything and bring it up to par, as opposed to just using an expansion they already know was extremely successful and only had extra subs and had an increase as opposed to decrease, through TBC into Wrath.
This is a really good question here from I'm Shakira Lol. Should there be a cooldown on Oni Nefhead, and should one person only have Songflower? Okay, so I don't know if this is true. It probably is. But back in the day, from people say that Songflower, 40 people couldn't control the same one. It was only one person. I would rather have one because that's a massive nerf indirectly. I mean, you have everybody in the raid having extra 5% spell crit? Come on.
It's a huge difference.
That's a pretty big deal. I mean, and the Oni Nefhead, maybe that could indirectly nerf world buffs and solve the problem that we have on private servers where world buffs are always impacting the content. You know what I mean by that? So maybe if they did have that, it would indirectly, resolve the world buff problem.
I don't remember us ever using, even when I raided a semi-hardcore guild, I don't really remember ever actually using world buffs like Songflower and such. Even Ani had buff. I think people just used it when they got it, and that was just the end of it.
I remember
had it for a couple hours.
I was watching a Kungan video of him and Nax, and he had some world buffs, but
yeah,
I'm pretty sure he said that he only had it for progression because they really needed it. But
yeah, I guess whatever's Blizz like when it comes to such a Songflower and such. If back in the day, because we don't really know because no one really did this. If back in the day 40 people could click the same Songflower, I think they should keep it that way. But if you can only do one person at a time, then that's how it should be too.
Yeah, if
back people locking out, 24 hours pre-raid, with Songflower ready to go.
What do you think, Lalo?
Sure.
Should it only be one?
So I'm kind of, it's how it was back in the day too, but I'm kind of against world buffs. I think it does trivialize farm content. For those who don't know, what private servers have done recently is they've disabled world buffs for the first month of a new raid that came out. And I won't speak for everybody, but a common opinion is that it makes the game way more fun, way more challenging. And there's a bit of a mental block in your head when you die to random shit and lose your world buffs. Meanwhile,
I get so mad.
Me too.
I get
Me too.
Mad.
Last raid, I wasn't paying attention. I inted myself down trash. I died, lost my world buffs within 2 trash packs, right? And it's well, now I can't compete, right? Because the warriors have 15% more crit and 800 more attack power, right? But I think Songflower should be one buff per person.
You know why I hate about world buffs is because what if one of the tanks fucks up or someone in your raid fucks up? Nothing to do with you. You didn't do anything wrong, but you die and lose your world buffs.
Right.
When people see wipes with world buffs, they start hearthing out, man, to save them.
Oh yeah.
You don't want that mentality. You don't want people hearthing out like a pussy in Blackwing Lair if they can. So.
It feels like, especially playing Melee, with and without world buffs, feels like you're playing a different class or a different game almost. Not a different game, but different class.
It tremendously helps.
The damage output
too.
is so different.
What do paladins get 15% spell crit from the world buffs? Or maybe more.
Which why they have infinite mana, yeah.
No, they have more than that because the ZG 10% intellects. And if you add the Dark Moon, that's crazy.
It's at least, let's see, 5%. Yeah, so 10% bare minimum plus the 15% stats from ZG, and maybe 10%
helps paladins.
Yeah, which is just huge. Which is why they're infinite mana basically, and even progression a lot of the time.
Maybe we should start killing MC paladins. Thinking about it, kill rocks every week.
Get those healing meters up.
Yeah.
So here is a lighter question, I guess. What is your most hated quest in vanilla? And I forgot who asked this. I'm sorry, but what is your personal most hated quest in vanilla, guys?
Hmm.
Think
I
long
know.
and hard. I know
one
mine.
in Silithus, where you know that those bugs that when you kill the bug, it spawns like no, you kill the ghost and it spawns like a bug or two.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Fuck that quest. That quest. That one.
I'm surprised you didn't mention this is mine for sure. The what's it called? The 3 robot chicken escort quests.
Yep. Those
God.
two.
Yes,
damn, dude.
especially on private server because a lot of time they're buggy and there's like
Yeah.
50 fucking moonkin just waiting on the path for you.
Yeah, I mean it's like they walk slow and they walk on the main path of the zones, like Tannerus and whatnot. And you are guaranteed, like if you do an escort quest on any vanilla server and classic servers when it comes out, you are gonna get ganked if it's a PvP zone. It's just gonna
Oh
happen.
yeah.
And it does feel good though, because it feels like I feels like I'm PKing in RuneScape because I get kind of like anxious. I'm like, dude, I'm about to get ganked right now. I'm like 10 minutes into this escort quest. This chicken's moving at 1 meter per minute. Like, please don't kill me.
Dude,
And
there's
then
two
it
things
happens.
I'm not gonna do on classic for leveling. One, dungeons, specifically Wailing Caverns. Fuck that. Two, those chicken escort quests. It's not gonna happen. I'm not even gonna try. I might. What I usually do with those chicken escort quests is like I turn it in, like, but I don't do the escort. So I'll get the quest item, I'll turn it in,
yeah.
and then I'll bolt the fuck out because I've done something where I'm sure you guys have done this. You've tried the escort before, and it's failed, and you just wasted like 10 minutes, 15 minutes of your time for no reason.
Yeah, I think the worst one is probably the Hinterlands one because you're running basically straight towards the Horde, camp back there, and the generally Horde controlled, east side of Hinterlands, running straight into them basically right on the main path is never a fun time usually.
Going back to what Alex said, this is my own personal question. When you guys play Classic for your first time, for your first 60, are you guys really not going to do dungeons? I feel like I'm going to have the comprehensive experience.
Depends.
Yeah,
If you're
I'll do
streaming.
I'll do Wailing Caverns. I will, even though it's AIDS. I'll do it.
It's tough. I mean, it depends on like it depends on how many servers there are. It depends on how many viewers I have when I'm streaming. It depends on like if people are trying. If I know, like I know if someone's gonna attempt to stream snipe me. Like I can feel in the back of my mind. Like if it's just how I'm used to it.
Well, it's a dungeon though, right?
Yeah, but if I'm slowly leveling and I'm taking the dungeon and the dungeon's not going well and there's other people that are leveling trying to kill me or stream snipe and they're not doing dungeons.
Mm-hmm.
You want to hit 60 ASAP.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
It depends though. There's a lot of question marks still like there about that stuff, but
It's really only want to do dungeons leveling with a group of players who aren't terrible. So there's not really going to be any wiping or mishaps. So you can go through have a good group so you can get all the quests, go through it quick and efficient, and get it all done in one quick blow.
Well, so I guess XP wise, some dungeons aren't worth it, but dude, in reality, man, some dungeon loot can carry you. I remember I used Emberstone staff back in the day from Deadmines for from level 19 to level 38. I used it for 20 levels, and that's from Deadmines, right? So there's a lot of good loot that can last you for a long ass time from vanilla dungeons, but if
especially
you want to
for
hit
melee.
60, yeah, like Smite's Mighty Hammer from Deadmines as well, yeah, especially for melee. But yeah, I think I'll personally do the comprehensive experience when I do my first 60, but I see your reasoning.
You guys want to do one more?
Let's do one more question here. Here's a
All
question
right.
from Cataclysm Z. He has 2 Z's. With the success of Classic WoW, do you think they will release TBC or is it too soon to tell?
I think it's too soon to
accurate.
tell, but if Classic is successful, I mean, why wouldn't they?
I think without a doubt they're going to do it. I think Burning Crusade and Wrath, like, I'd be shocked. I'd be shocked if they didn't do those. Like,
Oh, they're
if they
going
didn't
to
do the
man.
Trinity.
why would they not let you relive, like, killing Illidan and Arthas again? Like, of course they're going to do that. Like, I would be
Right.
shocked if they didn't. That would be a travesty if they didn't do that.
And it's all the pre-Cataclysm, vanilla areas too. They would just do the Holy Trinity, like everyone calls it. The first 3 of the pre-Cata zones, experience all that again. And, again, like sub numbers only went up through TBC and through Wrath. So you'd assume the same thing would happen through here, but
Guys, there's an elephant in the room. I'm gonna ask it, guys. So vanilla TBC Wrath for sure, but where do they stop?
Wrath.
Or you think they're gonna stop at Wrath? You think there won't be like an
I would be
outcry for
shocked if they
Cataclysm?
did Cataclysm. I'd be stunned.
The people will want it, man. They're gonna go on the forums and be like, "Oh, I missed the
I
pre-nerf."
think they will
Cat."
ask. Yeah, I think they will ask for Cataclysm, but
Do you think they'll give it to him?
are they gonna?
I think
them,
they're
are they
going to,
give
man.
them Mop?
Yeah, I think they. I mean,
Warlords of Draenor, Garrisons
the-
again. I'm down. Let's go. Best time.
dude,
of my
people are
life.
gonna ask for
Garrisons.
WoD, man.
Yeah, I'd be very surprised if they went past Wrath because I don't know if the demand would be there. Maybe if it is, they'll do it. If it's not, they won't. I mean, that's a tough one to tell. I think at least at this point in time,
Mm-hmm.
it'd be interesting if they did that. Also be very surprised if they did it. I would.
So I think we're gonna wrap it up here. Because you guys want to wrap it up here? Or what's going on?
Yeah, perfect.
Okay, so I think Mark has to go early today, but next week or whenever it is, like I don't know, we'll probably try to aim to do this like once a week. I would say.
Yeah,
I would like to do it
yeah.
once a week.
Yeah. And
Maybe
it'll generally be a
an hour
bit
or
longer
two.
than this. I have to run to work after, that's why I'm all dressed up. Sorry, guys. I
Yeah.
cut it a little short today. But next week, I promise we'll do the next hour and a
Yeah,
half.
everything's fine. Well, we still got a really good podcast in, and the VOD will be on my channel. If anybody missed it or anything, the VOD will be there, and I'll set that up after. But it was really fun. I had a lot of fun time talking. It was more of like an introductory podcast, but next week we'll really get in depth with like I don't know. Could go with
Oh yeah,
patches or
next week
something,
we'll
or
have
Yeah,
the
specific
haymakers
topics
next
and
week.
such.
patches-
Yeah, if there's anything you
patches
guys
are
want to see us talk about or anything, let us know. Like in Discord or something. Just
Yeah, like
any
if you
topics
guys
you want to see
like
us
the
discuss and
podcast,
such.
yeah, if you guys like the podcast and want us to talk about certain topics, then you guys should, give us suggestions. Like tweet at us, Wabos10, Alex Central, Marky Mark on Twitter. Just tweet at us and be like, yo, we like this about the podcast. We didn't like this about the podcast. We would like to see this guest, or we would not like to see this. Just let us know. We like being involved with the community. That's why we play Vanilla WoW. So.
Had a lot of fun, guys. Had a great time today.
Yeah, me
Yeah, it was
too.
a lot of fun.
Excited
Thanks,
for
guys.
next week.
Yeah, thanks, guys, for tuning in, and I'll see you guys next time.
You guys are the best.
All
Peace.
See you guys next.
Peace.